Okay, in this video, we're going to talk about the Hindu push-up, its origins, and why it can be a game changer of a move, especially if you're looking for flexibility, mobility, and strength. First things first, we got to go back in time and talk about the name, the Hindu push-up. And we have to go back to India in order to have a better understanding of the origin of this name, number one, and two, why it became so popular and why it became so famous, particularly among martial artists and wrestlers. So number one, Hinduism is the largest religion in India, and while it condones war and violence and all the bloodletting that happens when you go into battle, it does celebrate the idea and the concept of having a warrior spirit. So a warrior spirit meaning that you have a certain fearlessness, you have a certain courage, you have a certain discipline that is something to admire. So on one hand, it is a very contradictory idea because they're saying, well, we don't condone the actual violence that occurs when people get together in large groups and essentially murder one another, but we do highlight the fact that in order to be someone who can do that and be a warrior and go into battle, that takes something that you have to strive for, because obviously it's probably not an easy thing to be a true warrior in the physical, mental, and emotional sense. So there's that. And how it became famous was that Indian wrestlers and martial artists they obviously were looking for exercises that would complement the mobility and movement they would be using when they go into their own cooperative battle, which would be like wrestling or you're facing an opponent. Now, I never did wrestling. I learned a little bit while I was taking jiu-jitsu in LA, but I did not dive into it as far as I probably should have. But you could imagine just from the movement of wrestling and jiu-jitsu that having an exercise that focuses on not only strength, but builds resilient joints, strengthens your tendons, doesn't decrease any flexibility, in fact, opens up your spine, would be something that you would want to throw into your arsenal. And if you look at the movement needed to perform a Hindu push-up, you can see why it's a game changer of a move, because you're going from essentially a down dog and you're going through maximum extension of the spine and then back into flexion. And it depends on how you do it, but you can actually go back through extension, through flexion, and then back to down dog. So it is definitely a tough move. And while conventional push-ups are fantastic, they only tend to target the pecs and the back, while this targets the delts, the triceps, the anterior serratus, the hips. It's just an all-around bodybuilder, and it feels amazing actually. Wow, you're building this strength, this dynamic range of motion. You feel open and ready to crush your enemies. So it's a good one to throw into your mix. A good counter pose for the Hindu push-up would be the rabbit pose. And if you think about the spine of a rabbit, it's actually curved, so it'll de-stress the lower back and it'll help balance all that extension you did in the Hindu push-up. So there you have it. The Hindu push-up, a little bit of the history, came from India. They condone violence, but warrior spirits are great. Wrestlers loved it, made it famous because it complemented the movement that they would need to take down somebody or take somebody down on the mat. And you should throw it in because conventional push-ups are amazing, but they can be kind of dry. Peace.